This is our second session during the 2022 calendar year, the second in a series of conversations about peace. It's our opportunity to share our commitment to fostering a spirit of understanding among the peoples of the world, one person, one family, one community at a time. As a reminder, today, as with other sessions we've had, we're not here to discuss politics or political peace or the absence of war. However, it seems imperative today that we pause and that we acknowledge those living with conflict. This week, our attention has been on Europe. Let's take a moment to be in spirit with those who are displaced by conflict, by attacks, those who are under attack, those forced to attack, and those working tirelessly to resolve the situation. You know, we're here to discuss how each of us can forge a path that creates a deeper understanding of inclusion and respect among peoples in our communities and across our countries and around the world. And that is no small undertaking. It's something that we have to build and rebuild every day, every year, and every generation. So we need to have strong resolve and strong commitment to the ideal. And all of that's easier if we stay focused on the goal. Peace in our families, peace in our service places, our workplaces, and peace in our communities. For those of us online today in this conversation who are Lions Club members or LEOs, our Lions Club mission states our intentions very clearly. It states our mission in these words: to empower Lions Clubs, volunteers, and our partners to improve health and well-being, strengthen communities, and support those in need through humanitarian services and grants that impact lives globally, and encourage peace and international understanding. We can strengthen our likelihood of success if we break down this daunting task into 4 steps. First, we build a team around us who share our goals. We build a common vision. We build a plan, and then we build for success, because we can do this. We can make a difference in each and every one of our communities. In fact, those of you involved in this conversation over the last few months with us, you are doing this. You are making a difference. And we can continue this work not only by discussing peace and harmony, inclusion and equity, but we can also create peace and harmony when we take action. Now, many of us, especially this week, are feeling a whole new loss of control. Perhaps the pandemic brought us a sense that life was a bit out of control. And then piece by piece, we've been regaining that control and life seems manageable again. But then suddenly this week, we are presented with a whole new loss of control, that peace is crumbling before our very eyes. And so what can we do? This loss of control can be debilitating. We see this with marginalized communities, with victims of abuse, with victims of violence, and that violence may come from armed conflict or from local conflicts in our communities. So what can we do? What can we control? We can control our choices, and we can control our next steps. Today in this online time together, we'll begin with a powerful story of response, of taking back control, of making a step forward for peace and harmony. And I will ask now Lion Daniel Marnie Elkins to present and introduce Ellie Mae Banks. Daniel?
Lion Ellie Mae Banks is a member of the New Century Lions Club of East Anglia, MD 105 CE, since November of 2021. So she has been a Lion for 3 months. She is currently studying the pediatric nursing at the Anglia Ruskin University in Cambridge, and was the young ambassador of the Lions Clubs of British Isles in 2021. I had the honor and privilege of meeting her at the Europa Forum in Thessaloniki, Greece, and hearing her powerful story. We knew that this is something that would be good for you all to hear. So Ellie Mae, thank you for being here with us, and we can't wait to hear your story.
Thank you for having me. So just to start, there's a quote that's always really resonated with me ever since I heard it. And I think that really has fueled my motivation to find peace within my community. So I wanted to share it with you all. It says, someday, somehow, I'm going to do something useful, something for people. And that was a quote from a nurse during World War I from Edith Cavell, who treated her patients with no discrimination from both sides. So finding peace isn't an easy journey. Where do you start? For me, it was in my local community. In 2018, when I was 15 years old, I was out with some friends at school, and I had a phone call from my mum saying that someone had been stabbed down the road from where we live. And looking back in a scary way, I was fairly unfazed about this. It was happening all the time where I lived. And it wasn't until I found out who it was and specifically what happened that I genuinely felt nauseous. Someone I knew had been stabbed 15 times and had a bottle smashed over their head, and that person passed away. At 15 years old, I had no idea what to do. I was full of anger and guilt and pain and every emotion possible. And it wasn't until I realised that me being sat on my sofa, not wanting to go into school for, I think, around 3 weeks, and, you know, eating endless chicken nuggets because that was bringing me some sort of comfort at the time, that I felt like I wanted to do something. And I was 6 months into volunteering with England's leading first aid charity. And I think that then gave me the motivation to be like, yeah, I can do something here that's going to help people. So when I was a cadet, I was taught about a theory called Heli-view, which I want to share with you all. So Heli-view is when you're in a situation and you just take a minute, you take a step back and you assess the whole situation. You stand back, you look at it and you see what's already going on. And then you can fill in the gaps, find what needs to be done, and you can take on that role. So in my case, there was already knife amnesty bins, which people could, if they were carrying a knife already, they could put it down in there. And there was already organisations that were teaching young people about knife crime, but nothing on how to treat someone who has been stabbed with a knife. Because in England, it takes roughly around 8 minutes for an ambulance to get there. And that's a long time for someone to be losing blood or potentially in shock. So I set up knife crime CPD days and training days for cadets to learn how to treat this. And I worked in partnership with an organisation called the Be Lucky Anti-Crime Foundation, who came in and spoke to the cadets and raised awareness for the effects of knife crime. Little did I know in 2018 that 2 years later, I would be getting a phone call from Lions saying, hey, we really want to support you with this. And a few months later, I would become the young ambassador of the British Isles for 2021 and be travelling to Greece to tell my story and be here sharing it with you all. But my project started because when I was 15, I wanted to do something in my community. And now I'm 18, I have officially trained 65 young people for the complete course, 105 young people on their final step, and 375 young people now taking the first step to learn how to train young people in first aid. So my project was set up for my local community, but it progressed to young people all over the British Isles. And I'm throwing another quote at you from St. John, because that is the organisation I'm working in partnership with. And it says, nobody should die because people don't have the basic first aid skills. So this is me doing my bit. I always knew I wanted to do something for humanity, and it took a deeply unfortunate event for me to find out what that was. But I'm now in the process of bringing peace to local communities all over the British Isles, and in a memory of a friend. I've learned that most of the time it takes an unfortunate situation for people to have the motivations to do something, but it doesn't need to be that way. You can be the voice that fuels your own motivation to do something. Take a step back, look at what's going on, and find something to do. What's stopping you? Thank you.
Thank you so very much, Ellie Mae. I've heard you tell that story before, and it still moves me when I hear it again now. You saw a situation. You realized that people could be victims of violence and that it didn't need to end up in fatalities and death. And so we applaud you for taking action, for saying we can make this world a better place. And thank you for sharing your story of taking action and taking back control in a world that often seems difficult to manage. Now, for each of us, we know that we can pursue our local visions of peace and harmony as we build that team, such as you with your partnership. We build a plan with smarter goals, and then we build for success by taking control of that which we can do. So we want to take time today with all of you who've joined us to revisit, what is your vision of a community more at peace with itself? And would the diverse people in your community have more understanding of each other if we did something different, if we stood back for the heli view and then saw where the gaps are? If you're a Lion or a Leo, would your club or social group include some new participants not included now? Okay. These are the questions we need to ask. And then say, what is your vision? What is my vision? What's the vision of those around me and on my team? And what are the barriers to us just taking the next step, and then the next step, and then the next step? What can you tackle and address that will bring back some sense of control as we create our vision of peace? So during our first breakout room, each of you will have the opportunity in a small group setting to share any of the challenges or the opportunities that you're encountering this calendar year. We hope that you will use this time to clarify your resolve to move forward on this path towards peace, despite the detours, despite the delays, and despite the disappointments that you may have found along the way. And ask yourself and share with each other how you have supported your accountability partner, if you have one. In January, when we met, we talked about having accountability partners, someone who can, give us a nudge when we need to get moving forward, or someone who can brainstorm with us or help us solve a problem or re-inspire us. We're going to take this time then when you can go to the breakout room. You can unmute. Please select a moderator to keep the conversation moving, and take a screenshot of everyone in your breakout room as you discuss your challenges and opportunities and how you are working with an accountability partner. Now I'll ask our tech team if they could take us to our first breakout room. where we'll dig into the challenges that are occurring. And so I hope you had very fruitful discussions in the breakout rooms. Now we have a couple of polls that we would like to have you participate in, and I'm going to call on Ellie Mae.
Hiya, thank you. Welcome back. So based upon the conversations you had in your breakout rooms, I hope you had interesting ones. I know my group definitely did. We've got 2 poll questions we'd like to get your input on. So the first one is, what challenge are you tackling? So it should pop up on your screen. So the options are lack of diversity, lack of resources, COVID-19 complications, not enough partnerships, and lack of local engagement. Definitely some mixed results coming up. It's great to see that in different areas there was always different challenges.
Luckily, with strong teams, we'll find different solutions.
Definitely. So that looks like everyone's answered. So just having a look at the results, they're really interesting. It's nice to see that it's not all in one place where the challenges are. It's nice to see that they're scattered so we can look at it all as a group and work together to hopefully help fix them. So the next poll is, who have you invited to your team? So the options are again, other service organisations, local non-profits, faith-based community, schools, local government officials, and youth. So it looks like other service organisations seems to be taking quite a big gap from the top here. It's really great when organisations can work together because you can share skills that both of you have to form a wider skill set between you all, and you can learn from each other, which is always really great. It's what I've done with Lions and St John Ambulance for my project, so it definitely works. So the poll has ended. So now let's just take a moment to review the Smarter Goals sheet. So that should share on your screens. So we looked at these in the last conversation we had. So just to go through them very briefly, specific. So you need to make sure your goals that you're setting are specific. It makes the rest of the smarter goals more achievable and easier for you to track as well once you've got a specific goal. Meaningful and measurable. So you need to be able to track what you're doing. So making them measurable, and also I always remember it as meaningful as well. So both of them work. But it's also how is this going to work? How can you make sure this progress is working, and how can you measure your progress within this? Achievable, make it realistic. So you don't want to be setting a goal of, ending world hunger in the next year, because that's a goal that is fairly difficult and people have been working on it for quite a long time. So maybe doing it within a year is slightly over pushing it a little bit, but you can make steps within that will go towards that goal. So making a small step, like making sure you're working in your local community to use hunger and help reduce hunger in your local community, can be an achievable goal. Making sure it's relevant. So relevant to your local community is always great. Make sure it's relevant to things going on right now. And you want to match it up to the core values if you can. Time bound, set yourself a goal within the time frame. So if you've got a 3-month goal, if you've got a goal and you can set it for 3 months, you've got something to work towards. It's really, I find it really motivational to have something to work towards in a set time frame. And evaluation, so evaluate it. Make sure you are always reviewing what you're doing, looking back and seeing what you've done, and are there things that you can change or what's been going really well. And then finally, reward. Make sure that everything you're doing is you are rewarding yourself, because what you're doing is great and you need to remember that that is always great what you're doing. So we then move on.
Thank you very much, Ellie Mae. You know, one of the things that I struggled with in my early days as a leader and manager at work and then at Lions, you know, it really reinforced for me is that the last 2 steps that we talk about, the E and the R, the evaluation. If we're not evaluating and reevaluating and reassessing our progress along the way, it's very easy to become stalled because we've come up against obstacles or barriers. And so while we all talk about SMART goals, the idea of smarter goals has really come into play and I think serves us all well. So Ellie Mae, thank you very much for that. I think we have, just before we go to the next breakout room, a wheel of names. Ellie Mae?
Yeah, so to make this even more fun and like a game show, we've got a wheel of names, and I'm very lucky to be your host for that right now. So we have put your names into a wheel and we want you to share your smarter goals. So let's have a look who is coming up. So, Lion Greg Pryor, do you want to share your smarter goal?
Lion Greg is not with us here this morning, so let's give it one more spin.
Is Lion Owl with us? Yeah, would you like to share your smarter goal?
My smarter goal, for me, the smarter, the ER stands for exam, evaluate, and then the R stands for retry, do it again. So for me, so that makes it a continuous process. So for my continuous process, something that actually our club pursues is the idea of expanding the opportunities for fundraising, and we're always reevaluating and always trying to scratch our head and figure out how we can do it more better.
Thank you for sharing that. So I will now hand back to Vice President Dr. Patti Hill to take you to the next part. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Ellie Mae, and thank you, Al, for sharing your reevaluate and retry approach to smarter goals. We know that the pathway to peace or to any vision or any goal is never smooth or never straight or easy. Sometimes the path may seem to be all uphill, while other times we revel in the speed with which we can make progress. And sometimes we unearth other challenges that must be overcome before we can move forward with the original plans. We'll have 20 minutes during this breakout to really dig into how our plans are progressing or stalling, what barriers we might have run into, and brainstorm with each other again how we can offer support and new fresh ideas for the reboot, the restart, the reevaluated way forward. And so I'll ask our tech team to send us back to breakout rooms to share our challenges and solutions.
Hello, everyone. My name is Andreas Dekowski, and I come from Skopje, District 132 in North Macedonia. And when people speak about Skopje and peace, they usually tend to think about Mother Teresa. And I'm very proud to be born in Skopje, the same city that she was born in. But when we speak about my peace inspiration, I usually go to Eleanor Roosevelt. And she said, it isn't enough to talk about peace. One must believe in it. And it isn't enough to believe in it. One must work at it. In our breakout room, number 1, we discussed our smarter goals and accountability partners. While in our breakout room number 2, we shared our plans and progress. Before we continue further, let's share our smarter goals one more time so that everybody could see and get further inspired. Now I'm going to require that you follow the link that I'm going to share with you in the chat pane. Go to a Mentimeter presentation or a Mentimeter quiz and answer one simple question. What is your New Year's peace resolution and smarter goal? You will have 1 minute to write down your smarter goals, and then we will share the slide and see how everybody is thinking and further inspire ourselves. So this is the link. Oh, I see that Lion Jody has already shared it. If you follow the link and answer the question, write down your New Year's resolution and smarter goal, and we will then share and see how we're thinking of. To learn more from someone else from another culture, education helps diversity. Be tolerant of the different viewpoints. No one should sleep without food around us. To power that all lions would stay with Ukraine. Work towards being more patient and having my priorities more straightforward. Personally, to be compassionate towards those that have different perspectives. Promote peace among members and whoever they interact with. Hi to you. Peace resolution to ensure that young people can express themselves without reprisals. We'll work on inclusion of 4 new members in the next 6 months. To empower our own lions, to give them confidence to take back up the challenge to go into the communities against and serve as we do best. To create community by having monthly family dinners where we invite at least 3 community partners and 15 new people each time, and we have 36 members so far responding. Be persistent in our conversation on peace by inviting our cultures to speak. No one should sleep without food around us. To share cultural knowledge among members of my Lions Club to increase tolerance and understanding. To learn more from someone else from another culture. Be tolerant of different viewpoints.
Andrea, thank you for introducing us to this Mentimeter tool. Will you be able to capture all these great goals?
I will be able to download all of the goals shared with us and quite possibly share with all of our participants before the end of our session all of their responses.
Thank you so much. I know that Ellie Mae has our next wheel of names ready to go.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Andrea.
So we're back with your favorite game show yet again. So Lion Daniel, let's spin the wheel and see who's going to share their smarter goal. Lion Kim, would you like to share your smarter goal?
Hi, nice to be with all of you here today. Our club is working on the Human Library Project, and we have reevaluated that because initially when we did the project early in the year, there were certain human books, stories that were taken out and others weren't. So we've regrouped and we're now asking for public input to find out who they want to hear from before we launch again. And that's something by, evaluating, as you mentioned, some of the latter goals in the process. So we've now gone to the public, they've given us some feedback, and now we're going to do the project once again, and we expect to have greater success because we didn't want to have anyone feel that they weren't valued, that their story wasn't valued. So this way, there's some protection for those folks. Thank you, Ellie Mae.
Thank you so much for sharing that. So we've got one more round of sharing your smarter goal, and I would like to call on AP Singh, please. Are you here? Hello, would you like to share your smarter goal?
Well, at this point of time, the smarter goal, as you would say, is to be able to involve as many lions across the world to have their views, to understand their perspectives, to understand the different perspectives, from individuals coming from different parts of the world in all constitutional areas, so that once I have an opportunity to serve at some position higher up in the organization, I have that advantage or the opportunity, to serve more meaningfully, having understood the much broader horizon.
Thank you so much. It's so inspirational hearing about all of your smarter goals. So that was the final round of your smarter goals. So it was really great hearing them, but if you want to share them in the chat with each other, that would be great. But I will pass you back to VP Dr. Patti Hill for the next part. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And for those of you who want that captured information from the Mentimeter Smarter Goals, Andrea has put it in the chat box and you can download it from there. It really is our objective to create and foster a spirit of understanding among the people of the world. And we do that one relationship at a time, one group at a time, one community at a time. And to do that, we build a team of like-minded peace ambassadors. And then we build that collective vision of how we can move forward one step at a time. We build a plan and we take action over those things that we can control. And we build success in every one of our communities. On April 10th, please mark down, on April 10th, we'll come back together again to celebrate. We'll have this online celebration and sharing of the activities, building peace. And we want to showcase your actions, your activities. So please be sure to share them with us. We ask you to report them on My Lion. We ask you to upload them to Lions Virtual and include the hashtag GCPeace, so we can search and not overlook any of your great reports or your pictures or your videos of what you're doing. And then report it to your own community. Spread the word about the good news that can be part of our daily lives when we take control of building a more peaceful community, one activity at a time, because we all need peace. And with that, can we have a song to send us off on our way today as we embrace actions for peace?
We all need love. so we can build a lasting peace. We all need peace to keep our dreams alive. We all need peace to make our planet thrive. We need to sing so that the world can hear our song. We need a song so that the world can sing along. Our song will spread its message loud and clear. Our song will spread to people far and near. Together we can learn to harmonize, to bring together different views. Like a million ways to verbalize a message strong and bright and true. We all need love, so we can fill the world with hope. We all need hope, so we can build a lasting peace. We all need peace to keep our dreams alive. We all need peace to make our planet thrive. To make our planet thrive. To keep our dreams alive. We all need love. We all need
We
hope.
all need hope.
We all
We
need
all need
peace.
And may you carry peace with you every day as you go forward. And we'll meet with you again April 10th. Shalom. Peace be with you.